regular meeting of the Morganton City Council, June the 6th, 2022 to order. I'll ask Councilman Butch McSwain if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Butch. This time I'll ask Reverend Latrice Lowerly of New Hope in Christ Baptist Church to please lead us in an invocation.
Good evening to you all, and thank you for having me here. Let us pray. Father God, we come before you as humble as we know how, just thanking you for this time together in your name. God, I pray for camaraderie. I thank you for cheery hearts. And we also say, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Latrice. Okay, introduction of council. To my far right, Wendy Cato, Mayor Pro Tem, Chris Jernigan, City Council, Louis Vina, our City Attorney. I'm Ronnie Thompson, your Mayor. Sally Sandy, our City Manager. Butch McSwain, City Council. Chris Hawkins, City Council. Renee Carswell, our recording secretary, our interpreters for the deaf, Danette Stemwood Bridges, and Ernest Williams IV. Our first item of business is a retirement resolution. I'd like to read that resolution honoring Bennett A. Chapman. Whereas Bennett A. Chapman was employed by the City of Morganton as Equipment Operator 1 in the Water Resources Department on April 28, 1994, promoted to Equipment Operator 2 on October 3, 1996, changed to compost operator on July 1st, 2004, promoted to plant maintenance mechanic on October 2nd, 2008, and promoted to senior plant maintenance mechanic on February 15th, 2020. Whereas Bennett A. Chapman has faithfully served and given of his time and effort for the benefit of the citizens of City of Morganton for 28 years and 11 months, and whereas Bennett A. Chapman retired from the City of Morganton as Senior Plant Maintenance Mechanic in the Water Resources Department on June 1st, 2022, and whereas the Morganton City Council wishes to officially recognize the contributions of Bennett Chapman and express their appreciation for a job well done, now therefore be resolved by the City of Morganton that the Mayor present this resolution to Bennett Chapman, adopted this 6th day of June, 2022, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, Sally Sandy, City Manager. Do I have a motion to accept this resolution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Sally, Mr. Chapman's not here to accept that, correct?
Correct. He was not able to be here, so we'll do it at a later time.
Okay. Under public advocacy, I'm going to call Joshua Harris to come forth and talk about an excellent in communication award. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Thank you for your time. Let me set this up here. Get a shot of it. I'm Joshua Harris. I'm the past president of the North Carolina City and County Communicators. We say NC3C for short. Makes it a lot easier to get through. I'm here on behalf of the organization to present an award to the City of Morganton. First, I'll tell you a little bit about NC3C. We're a local government communicator organization, a professional association. We have public information officers, directors, webmasters, marketing people in the organization. And basically, we try to help each other learn and develop and grow in the profession. We currently have about 125 members from across the state. I'm not sure if it's from Murphy to Manteo or not, but, you know, pretty far west, pretty far east. So the award that I'm presenting tonight is to this city. It's part of the North Carolina, our Excellence in Communications Awards. So basically, it's an opportunity for folks that do local government communications to submit their work to be judged, not by anyone here in the state. We actually use professional communicators from Minnesota to judge our awards, and then we judge their awards program. So if you win an NC3C award, you deserve it. It's not like we knew who you were and like, you were our friend or anything. No, the people that judge don't know us. So it's a valid win, and if you win it, you earned it. We have 27 awards in 6 different categories. Just so you have an idea, so we have a print category. We have a social media category, because a lot of communication is on social media now. General composition, which would just be like writing, photography, videography. Then we have a separate video category, digital technology, and then an other, which encompasses things like best use of humor, crisis communication plans, those sort of things. Morganton, the city of Morganton, submitted an entry in this recent Excellence in Communications Awards for website work that y'all have done. A lot of it, a lot of website work last year in 2021. My understanding is you basically redesigned and relaunched 5 new websites and 5 websites and maybe one new one, which redesigning one website and launching one website is a pretty big task. But to do 6 of them in 1 year at one time is pretty impressive. So the judges thought so as well, and they gave the city of Morganton second place in digital technology website at this year's Excellence in Communications Awards. So I wanted to bring the award, say congratulations, and say thank you for letting your public information officer be a member and for supporting the organization. So,
No, because he's gone.
yeah.
Good to see you, John.
Good to see you too.
I'll ask Mayor Pro Tem Wendy Cato, Sandra Marston, please. I'm sorry.
Assistant manager.
There you go.
Thank you,
You're
Joshua.
welcome. I'm also past public information officer for the city of Morganton. So.
I'm very happy to be receiving this award from my past PIO. But I'm very honored to receive this award on behalf of my past PIO, Ethan Smith, who did a fantastic job with these 6 websites. And he had help from over 60 of our employees, and they did an excellent job. So very proud.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is a proclamation for Juneteenth. I'll have to read that proclamation. Okay, if I could get to it, public advocacy. Juneteenth proclamation. Whereas on January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, providing that all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state shall be then and thenceforth forward and forever free. And whereas President Lincoln correctly believed slavery to be in violation of the principles of the Declaration of Independence, and that its abolition represented a new birth of freedom for the United States. And whereas on June 19th, 1865, almost 2.5 years later, Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the end of both the Civil War and slavery with the announcement, the people of Texas are informed that, in accordance with the proclamation of the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free, end quote. Whereas Texans began the celebration of Juneteenth in 1866 with community events, and as freed families immigrated from Texas to other parts of the United States, they carried the Juneteenth celebration with them. And whereas Juneteenth is the oldest national commemoration of the ending of slavery, and whereas Juneteenth is an important opportunity to join with people across the nation in celebrating the good news of freedom and the end of the evil of slavery, now therefore I, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor of the City of Morganton, do hereby proclaim June 18th, 2020 as Juneteenth Day in Morganton. Furthermore, I will call upon all citizens in this community to gain knowledge of and join in the celebration of Juneteenth in Morganton. Proclaimed the 6th day of June, 2022, Ronnie Thompson, Mayor, Renee Carswell, City Clerk. I'm going to call on Alicia Connolly, Ruth Roseberry, and Artie McKesson to make some comments about Juneteenth. If they would, please come forward.
And she's-
Well, do I need to give my credentials?
You don't need to do credentials.
Okay.
We have the actual proclamation. Give one to you. Thank you. And that's one for Ruth. You'll have to make some comments.
Mr. Mayor, council members, it's always a pleasure to come before you. I've come before you, and you have been very compliant, and it assisted us, and for that, I thank you so much on behalf of the concerned citizens for Burke County. This is an opportunity for us to visualize our vision. I've always said, if there's a vision, there has to be a plan. And if there's a plan, then there is forward movement. And that is certainly what I feel that we are moving toward. It feels very comfortable being at the table and sharing ideas. And with your continued support and encouragement, I'm sure that we can continue to make Morganton a better place to live. Again, I thank you. You have been very gracious and kind, and for that, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Artie. Ruth, if you'd like to come forward, or Alicia?
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Burke County NAACP, we thank you for joining together and for this proclamation. And we say today that Juneteenth is a time of reflection, and it is a reminder. It is a reminder of the work that has been completed, and it is a time to reflect on how far we have come. And it will give us an opportunity to continue the efforts of those who have fought and who have sacrificed. This year, for those in this city, it is a day of new beginnings. It's a day to seek truth, to seek forgiveness, and to seek reconciliation. So let us unite, let us embrace, and let us celebrate as we join together in the power of community. Thank you very much.
Next on our agenda, I'm going to call Michael Burley up, please, for a revealing of a very special marker. Michael, welcome.
I'm Michael Burley. I'm project designer with the City of Morganton. I've been asked to introduce to you a new historic marker that will be soon installed in Morganton for the Jonesboro National Historic District. This marker's been ordered and is expected to arrive and be installed later this month. Morganton, give you some background on that. Morganton has 9 national historic districts, which can be seen on the screen. 2 of these districts, Broughton Hospital and NCSD, currently have North Carolina highway historical markers. There are 13 of those North Carolina highway historical markers in Burke County, and 11 of those can be found around Morganton, in and around Morganton. There are 3 similar markers to the state markers, which are local historic markers in Morganton. Those 3 are the birthplace of Sam J. Irvin Jr., General Daniel Morgan, and Etta Baker. So this Jonesboro Historic District marker will be the 4th in the Morganton-sponsored historical marker type. You can see that on the screen. The current local markers each have different design characteristics. So this marker was standardized through the approval of the Morganton Historic Preservation Commission, and it most closely resembles the marker for the birthplace at Sam Irvin Jr., which is the oldest of the local markers. The local marker seen here will be black with silver lettering, and this is the opposite color scheme as the state markers that you see around. The marker, again, is sponsored by the City of Morganton Historic Preservation Commission, and it will read, as seen on the screen, Jonesboro Historic District, 1895 to 1935, Morganton's oldest intact historically black neighborhood, home to prominent citizens of the era, It is distinguished by the vernacular style of the homes and rural character of the landscape. And then in small type at the bottom of the sign will be the letter M and the number 4, representing Morganton's 4th local marker of this type. And then also Morganton Historic Preservation Commission as the sponsor, and then the year of the marker. This marker is to be placed near the corner of West Concord Street and Jones Street to commemorate the Jonesboro Historic District. Currently, historic districts are distinguished with decorative street signs, and this will be the first marker of this type to go in one of the districts other than ones noted before as Broughton and NCSD. And the Historic Preservation Commission hopes to continue with more of these type markers to further define the other historic districts in Morganton. So keep in touch, keep your eyes and ears open for future press releases regarding when the marker will be installed and when its unveiling will take place, hopefully later this month.
Michael, thanks so much. I know that's months and months and months of work, so thank you so much for all the work y'all have done.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, upcoming events. In downtown, the farmers market continues on Wednesdays from 11 to 2 at 111 North Green Street, June 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th, and July 6th, 13th, 20th, and 27th. On Saturdays from 8 a.m. to noon at 300 Beach Street on June 4th, 11th, 18th, 25th, July 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th. The Sunday Pops concert continues on the 4th Sunday from 3 to 5, June 26th and July 24th at the historic Burke County Courthouse Square. The Juneteenth Harmony and Equality Brunch, sponsored by the Citizens for the Improvement for Better Human Relations and Cultural Awareness, will be June 18th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Morganton Community House. And the Juneteenth celebration will be June 18th, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at our Performing Arts Center of Comma, sponsored by the NAACP and the Morganton Human Relations Commission. Art in the Hall is Vivian Dunn, a paper collage, a 2-year journey will be displayed from June and July at City Hall. Under Parks and Recreation, the College Street Swimming Pool, Martha Parks Splash Pad, and Martin Luther King Jr. Splash Pad are open for the summer. Our 4th of July fireworks. A fireworks display will be held on Monday, July 4th, 2022 at nightfall. The fireworks will be shot from the grounds of Freedom Park. The park will be closed to the public to ensure the safety of firework operators and the public. People wanting to see fireworks should find parking in the parking lots at nearby businesses along Independence Boulevard, Wamsutta Mill Road, and North Green Street in North Carolina 181. More details will be released closer to the July 4th. Okay, Sally, next is the Municipal Power Agency update number 1. Do we have an update?
There's nothing to report.
On our consent agenda, I believe we have 5 items. If you'll cover those, please.
I believe 5 is correct, and for those of you viewing at home, those items include minutes from the regular council meeting on May the 2nd. It includes the requirement of reappointing Jenny McNeely as the tax collector to begin June 1st through July 1st, and then to adopt a resolution that directs her to do her job and collect taxes. A budget amendment for an insurance reimbursement for damage to a sanitation truck in the amount of $51,322.88. And then a resolution authorizing staff to seek another grant resource that we've become aware of through the Division of Water Resources for $200,000 to assist with the Bethel Park renovation. We'd like to apply for that and hopefully could be successful. There's matching dollars already in place with the other things that we've been able to do, so it doesn't require more of local money. And then amendments to the Solid Waste Management Ordinance, Chapter 2, Part 4.
Do any members of council wish to have any items removed from the consent agenda? If not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is what everyone came to
Oh,
hear,
I'm sure.
is the presentation of our budget for 2022, 2023.
I am sure. It's
Hallie,
an
I'll-
exciting moment.
It is an exciting moment. I'll turn it over to you, please.
I have Jesse assisting, and so I'm going to try to make it a little shorter, but I'm not promising because you know it's exciting to talk about. So tonight, we're going to present the budget, and then at the end of that, ask you all to call for the public hearing, which will be 2 Mondays from tonight on the 20th. And then we'll take comments and hopefully adopt a budget for the July 1 begin of the fiscal year. So this year's budget is $82 million. That is down from the current budget we're operating under, including all amendments that have happened throughout this past year, of $86 million. So about a 5% decrease. Again, capital projects and the value of those change that from year to year. Some year you have a lot of capital, some years you don't. Although we seem to always have our share, because I think that we really work hard at reinvesting in our community and the assets that we have. This will come as no surprise to anyone. Nationwide inflation, a little bit of instability in the economy, fuel prices, supply chain, and we'll talk about that several times in this process, pose challenges and create impacts on our state shared revenues and our local revenues. And we are now in a phase of, after the past 2 years with COVID, and things are starting to reopen, people are starting to take part. Not everyone is comfortable, and so we're still doing a lot of things in multiple ways. And in looking at that, you'll see that our city facilities and large part recreation, Main Street, the community house, those are getting really busy. And we're facing challenges like everyone else of being able to hire folks to work. And that's whether that's permanent full-time positions or part-time positions. And we're really struggling with that and finding it really hard to deliver the services that now people are asking for. But we're working through that. Again, material cost, delays in getting that, fuel charges, and we've budgeted something, and we're probably going to end up revisiting that throughout the middle of the year. You take what you know at the time. And we are starting to see our utility usage creep up. We're starting to see the commercial usage coming back. We've had some positive industrial announcements and those kinds of things. So now just a little bit about each fund. And we'll start with the general fund, which, you know, is our home to first thing, partnerships. We talk about that every year. So our partnerships that we do things with, we've got Burke Development, the library, the Burke County Library that we fund, the Morganton branch, Foothills Regional Airport, Western Piedmont Council of Governments, our DIG incentives, and we have 2 of those currently, and then Greenway Transportation for the Morganton route. You'll see that this year that totals $509,000. And so if you looked at that as how much of our taxes go to support that, that's 3 cents of the tax rate that support those partnerships. So now we get to the general fund. So that's general government, right? That's public safety, recreation, all the cultural things that we just talked about, administration, finance, those kinds of things. So that budget this year is $26.4 million, a little over that. That's up about $843,000 from the current year that we're in. Goals obviously remain intact. I think that we provide quality services, and I know you believe in that and want us to always do that. We're always trying to invest in the quality of life and the things that happen here for our residents, for our visitors, for people looking to move here, for our businesses, for everyone, and then working to attract new development and people to the community, because that's how we survive. And hopefully this budget is going to be one of the vehicles we'll use to do that. proposing to leave the ad valorem tax rate at 57 cents per $100 of valuation the same, not proposing any increase in our tax rate. That's looking to generate about $9.9 million next year. That makes up 38% of the general fund. That is a chunk. Projecting a 98% collection rate, and 1 cent on that tax rate generates $170,000 in income. The downtown tax, 14 cents remaining in place. Again, striving and budgeting for a 98% collection rate. That'll generate about $131,500. That's 15% of the revenue for the Main Street budget. So 85% of that is funded other ways. And 1 cent on that tax rate generates about $9,946. We'll tell you that this year we are struggling to get to those 98% collection rates, and we historically are higher than that. And we're particularly struggling in downtown because we've got a couple of large tax bills that aren't paid and aren't being paid. We're continuing to work through that. The last 2 years have taken a toll on a lot of people and a lot of places. The capital part of the general fund is just under $4 million for next year. You see a list there. We're looking to get a new fire truck, a new knuckle boom truck. We're looking to installment purchase finance those, so they'll be paid for over time. Continuing with the Bethel Park, looking to put some more of our money in there, but opportunities to get just under $500,000 in grant funding. Obviously, our portion of that doesn't happen if we're not successful with the grant funding. Big things, I think, and we do a lot of planning here, a lot of big planning. It is time, again, for us to do a comprehensive plan. Our current one is called Mission 2030. You've heard about it for years. It's now been 12 years, almost 13 years since we did that. It's about a 2-year process. We talked about that at the workshop back in February, and the cost for that is $200,000. We'll let you know that in North Carolina, you are required really to update that about every 10 years. So we've pushed it about as far as we can. It's a very participatory process with the community and a good thing. We talked about this a little bit at workshop too. Master plan for comma, $75,000. Take a look not only at our facility, whether that's sound, whether that's the look, the chairs, everything in there that you look at in a facility that is starting to get some age on it, looking at the grounds, looking at the programming, looking at marketing, everything involved with that. And so hopefully going to do a $75,000 master plan and set the next few years in place for comma. Hope everybody has noticed the marketing you approved back in February, and when you top Broughton Hill and you look up there and you see that big comma, it's really awesome. And if you take the time to drive down College Street, the front of the building is really cool, and people are now saying, oh, that's what that was. So hopefully we're getting some recognition, and people are starting to place that big brick structure with what it really is. Other things, some downtown restaurant recruitment, that's in again. Hopefully, we're going to be able to do that, and we'll have a taker. Obviously, if not, we won't spend that money. Stimulus money in again to help with new housing and supporting development of new streets required for that, and there's some utility money for that we'll talk about later. And then floor and bleachers at the Mountain View Gym, looking to replace that, and we have a grant opportunity, we feel like, for that. The big revenues in there, and this is a list, and I promise I won't go through all of them because they're not as exciting to you as they are to me. The big one is sales tax, and if you look at that, the growth in sales tax over the last 2 years has been astonishing. But as we continue to get economic news, and as the state that, works with us on how to set this, everybody feels like with inflation, with changes in people's opportunities to spend dollars, that this is coming to an end, the double-digit growth. I will tell you, as you see, we are projecting a little bit of growth, a couple $100,000 more than what we're projecting to collect this year, and that's $6 million. That's 23% of the general fund. That is our second largest revenue and pretty significant. You see the others down there. We'll comment that occupancy tax and local ABC revenues continue to be strong. The ABC revenue decrease that you're seeing is because there's a new state law that goes into effect July 1, and they're having now to create a delivery system for their customers, not individuals, but their restaurants and that sort of thing. There's a name for them, and it won't come to me now because I'm getting old. And so they are projecting that's going to cut into the local revenue because they're going to have to fund a position and a delivery and that kind of thing. Powell Bill's the money we get from the state to work on streets, and we're going to talk about streets in a few minutes in what I hope is an exciting way. This budget does require some changes. We are looking at increasing our solid waste fees for commercial customers. It has been years since we've done that by $1.50 per cubic yard. No change in residential fees, the $12 a month. Does require almost $300,000 in savings, appropriated fund balance to balance it. That is well below your 15% policy. I mean, it doesn't even take us anywhere close to being near 15%. So we are very safe to do that. And we'll also say that we're coming off, we believe that this fiscal year will be our 4th year of holding our own or adding to fund balance. Now, some of that's because we've been very successful with grant funding, some of the COVID funding that we received in the last couple of years, and then some of the cutbacks that we did during that have helped to contribute to that. Then we have the water fund, $10.6 million, and that's a fairly large number for that fund. Looking at about a average 4 to 5% increase in usage now, which is a positive. However, that is not really keeping up with what we're seeing in the cost of expenses and chemicals and you name it. And just like everyone experiencing at home, it is going up. And so you'll recall that we did a 10-year rate study plan several years back for water and sewer. We looked at a 25-year investment in capital assets. And in that 10-year rate plan, we were supposed to do a 2% increase in variable volume and fixed charges every year to keep up with inflation. When COVID hit, we discontinued that and haven't done it. Now we're to the point where we really feel like we have to do that. But we think we've done it where we won't have to change the fixed cost and we'll only be changing the volume cost. And we're asking for a 4% increase in that to go into effect August 1st, 2022. And that's in water and sewer. That will generate in water a little under $200,000 a year. So it's not super significant to really any individual customer. It's really just trying to keep up with that inflationary cost. Capital there is $5.5 million. We keep seeing these numbers because we've got the big water project at the sedimentation, coagulation, and flocculation that we've said 15,000 times, it seems, that we need to do at the water filter plant. And we continue to search for money to be able to help us to do that, whether that is totally grant funded, and we have an application in for that now, or whether it's a low-interest loan through the state's revolving fund. And that is $4.16 million of that capital funding. So it's the big piece of that. We do need $46,000 to balance that budget out of water savings with the proposed budget we've given you. And it does include $150,000 for housing stimulus for water infrastructure for new housing development. The electric fund is really good news, and that is about $28.5 million. We are expecting from the power agency about a 10%, roughly 10% wholesale rate decrease that will come to us, and we are proposing passing on 5.5% of that decrease to our customers. Again, effective August 1st, 2022, that should say. And the capital plan is $1.2 million. We're coming off the large, almost $4 million substation project that we're finishing up now. And part of the not being able to pass all the costs along, cost of materials, cost of transformers, cost of wire. I mean, we're getting quotes on those things, and they're good for 24 hours. We have to pull a trigger and make a commitment in 24 hours, and then we're looking at 10 and 12-month delivery time for some of that. It's pretty amazing. And then also setting aside the dollars so that in the projection for the next couple of years, we're looking at wholesale rate increases, that we've got some dollars set aside and we're budgeting to put some money, about $300,000 into rate stabilization so that we could use that. So if we lowered them more this year, we're probably going to have to come back next year with the wholesale increase and change it again and up everybody, and that doesn't seem very wise. Those increases range between 2% to 14% for some classes of customers. Wastewater, ditto water in a lot of ways. It's 11.3 million, seeing about a 5% increase in usage there. Looking once again, a 4% increase August 1st on volume charges. Continued implementation of the master metering, the second year of that would kick in January. $6.5 million capital, 5.3 of that is the Silver Creek Pump Station, and we're in the same situation with that as at the water plant. We have an application in to hopefully get some grant money and/or low-interest loan money from the state for that. Looking again at $150,000 for new housing and $85,000 to redo the compost area, resurfacing that, which helps with our state permit. And yes, we have to use about $12,000 in savings to make that budget work. Compass, so this is better news than in quite a few years. Obviously, the internet has been growing tremendously and continues to. This is $6.1 million budget proposed to you, and we are still seeing, we're looking at about 10 business customers a year that we're getting with that, and 15 new residential internet customers a month. Still planning to lose more traditional video TV customers. But for the first time in I don't know how many years, we are not asking for a rate increase with programming January 1. So doesn't mean that it's not still a very high fee for those of us who subscribe to Compass TV, but we are not going to need to raise that this year. So that's a small glimmer of hope. And for the few folks, Chris Hawkins and I, who still have a residential phone service, we are getting a $3 a month decrease because we were able to renegotiate that contract, and we're saving money. So there you go. Two good things, I hope. Based on our consultants' continued advice to really tighten up the speeds that we're offering in internet. And as you know, with today's world and everything, more, faster. That's what everyone wants. So we are discontinuing, effective again August 1st, 22, the 10 megabit service, and the lowest speed will be 50, and that is for the $49.95 a month. Capital there, $660,000. Again, some just normal infrastructure investments, and we're also going to deploy some equipment and start doing some testing at the head end that could ultimately lead us into supporting a system where we would have fiber to all the homes and all the businesses, and we are seeking funding for that. It is very difficult for a municipal system. If we were AT&T or some of them, we could get money just like this, but we're working on that. And we also are going to test how we could possibly in the future, and Greg will probably hit me for even saying this, transition the video, the TV piece, into a streaming service. Now, that's a few years off, but that's what we're trying to test to see what we need to do to prepare for that. Again, using $11,000 in retained earnings. Cemetery Trust Fund, where we maintain the cemetery. The news there is we have a paving project. It's in pretty bad shape, and we're looking to resurface what I'm going to call the main circle. It's the best way I know to describe that. We have a quote of about $100,000 for that, and we are taking that money out of the original trust, out of the earnings in the trust for that. So that's not coming out of general fund dollars. And then our intergovernmental service fund, that's IT, warehouse and garage, 3.1 million. The big news there really is warehouse and garage. So we have budgeted 425,000 for next year's fuel purchases. That's 50,000 more than this year. If we keep going like we're going right now, that's not going to get us through the year. But we didn't want to bite off more than we really needed because it affects all the funds and all of their expenses. Inventory is the same thing, and that's just something we're going to have to keep an eye on as the year rolls on, and we'll be coming back to you if we need more funding for that. It is safe to say that everything that we are purchasing costs more money, and if you can get it. ARPA, so now, big discussions, right? So this is the American Recovery Plan Act money, and we are a direct recipient from the federal government of $4.8 million, 4835619. And we've been talking about this for a while. So I'm going to start at the bottom. So the Highway 181 sewer upgrade, $1.7 million, is a project we're working on designing that you have approved, that we were able to secure $2.1 million in Dogwood Trust money to match if we used our ARPA money for that, and it is to support the ability to grow our capacity in that area to be able to support new housing. And that project is underway. The three new things in this budget that we're proposing to you are our sludge system at the wastewater plant needs some upgrades, about $305,000, and we'd like to use ARPA money for that. Again, back in February, we talked at our workshop about investing those dollars because we are grateful for $4.8 million, and that is a big number, but it doesn't go very far in today's world in assets and in long-term serving assets for the community. Our garage facility needs a wash station in order to meet our stormwater permit and to be able to service our fleet and the things with which we deliver our service, and that is $530,000. And then finally, what I think is awesome news, asking for $800,000 to do street resurfacing. Normally in a year, our resurfacing would be somewhere between $150,000 to, if we're really lucky, $225,000, $230,000, and that does not go far. So we're trying to do 4 years' worth of resurfacing and identify the worst roads that we can do this in all 4 quadrants of the city, so we can spread that around and get more done than we've been able to do in years. We're kind of excited about that. That leaves $1.5 million. We don't have final bids on any of this. Some of this may be more, so we really need to keep something there in order to support that. And then, as we talked, we could come back, possibly look at some additional resurfacing, look at some additional asset projects that we could support with that if these bids come in as we hope they will. Personnel. So, looked across the state and the region, all of those things, landed on, and we've talked about this in committees. The budget proposal before you includes a 4% COLA for permanent full-time employees effective July, 2% merit for qualifying employees in February of 2023, includes our mini review to our comparison to market rates that are being paid for 1/3 of our positions. We do a different 1/3 every year and keep that rolling. No contribution to the OPEB trust, and to continue funding the law enforcement separation allowance. The insurance costs with employees still contributing $50 a month toward that, and then obviously funding our retirement contribution as an employer to the retirement system. So that's a lot. And that's a lot of numbers and a lot of stuff. So what does this really mean? So we have $82 million budget proposed, and hopefully that sets for us the path that we need to continue forward. Hopefully it's going to get us through the uncertainty of the times. I mean, we're pretty good at that, and we're pretty good at managing all that together. I'd really be remiss if I didn't say that the last 2 years no surprise to anyone, have been difficult and so many challenges, some that continue, some that get better, some that fall backwards and all of that. And I really have to say to the employees, because they came every day, they got the job done, and they continue to do that. They're our front line. And I know that we talk a lot about healthcare workers and heroes and all of that. Well, kind of our folks are that too, because not one day did they go home and not do what we've asked them to do to serve the citizens. The department directors, they worked hard. We've tried to move forward and do a lot of things during this time, set ourselves in a good position, done it with the idea of taking care of the community and taking care of our employees. They've come to the table with good budget decisions and good ask for what we need to fund and what we need to do. Got to thank Jessie, because that little bit of common sense always comes in there, and you know, she's really good to also challenge a lot of my no's and talk me through some of that, because sometimes I start there and then we're going to get somewhere else, and that's a real good thing. Kate has been great this year in working on getting the budget together, and just the team. And then you all, because you continue to care about your community and you continue to care about your investments for making it a better place for the future. And that doesn't happen everywhere. So as I was thinking about my movie, I came up with Rocky Balboa. So the Rocky series, and I came up with 2006, and this isn't one of my favorite Rocky movies, I'm just going to tell you. It's not nearly as good as Rocky III, but the quote just hit me with where we've been and where I think we're going and what we continue to do. So really, he's counseling his son in the movie, and he tells him it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. It's how much you can take and keep moving forward, and that's how winning is done. And that's really how I view what we've done and where we are and how we're looking toward the future. And along with that, you know, we've gone from day-to-day COVID and mask wearing and shuttered venues and all kinds of things, and now we're in supply chain problems, and, you know, gas is out of the roof, and diesel fuel is even hard to get sometimes, and all kinds of things. Material costs are hard, but we still got more to do, and we still believe in the things that we're doing. And what Morganton does best is they do that together. And they do that with their private partners, with their other community partners, and with all of us. And so I started thinking about what represents that really well, and the day we dedicated the courthouse square does. That is a project that is our front door. It required public involvement, private involvement. It required the city and the county working together. It required all kinds of support, collaboration, all the words that we hear all the time. And it required something, in some cases a lot, from every department in the city. There's nobody that it didn't touch in one way or another. And that's pretty big, and pretty big that we did that. And I hope that that serves as the living example that you can respect your past, you can embrace your future, you can do that at the same time and in the same space. And hopefully what we've created is the example of how to move forward in a new space that represents welcoming and inclusion for our community, for our citizens, and for our visitors. And hopefully this $82 million will let us do that as well. And that's all I have to say.
Jesse, would you like to add anything?
I'll just add, I echo what Sally says. This is my favorite season of being finance director. I like budget. Sally does not love it as much. But I like it. I've done it somewhere else that's not as easy to do it here. Our budget meetings with our directors are not contentious, and they're not something that everyone doesn't look forward to, at least I think so. You know, and it's a nice process because it's positive, and we have support from you, and we have support from our other staff and with Sally. And so I enjoy it, and I always like this time of year, so I'm happy with where we're at. And hopefully it's enough. So,
Sally, Jesse, and Katie, thank y'all so much for a great presentation. What's the wish of council?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a comment if I could, as everybody knows I will do. As an example of how we are moving forward, I urge everybody at home, if you haven't been downtown on a Friday night, at least drive around the courthouse and look at the crowd that's there. It is so refreshing to see the community moving forward, and the dedication of that day was something, but the two Friday nights that we didn't have to look at the radar every 15 minutes have been incredible. And I urge everybody to please come take a look at it, and you'll see that this money is being spent wisely or for our future. So, sorry about that, but I had
Okay.
to.
Again, what's the wish of council?
Make a motion to call for a budget hearing on the proposed budget on Monday, June 20th, 2022 at 6 PM.
Thank you, Chris. I have a motion to have a second.
I'll-
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, next on our agenda, a public hearing and consideration of the City of Morganton Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, entitlement program action for the fiscal year 2022-23. And I'll ask Lisa Helton to come up and give us some information.
I'm here. Good evening. So the purpose of this public hearing is to receive input for our 2022 action plan for our Community Development Block Grant Program. We are getting a raise. So last year, we got $159,683. This year, we're going to be receiving $194,624. So that gives us a little more money to do some more stuff with our program. So we'll be getting that from HUD, and then we are anticipating $30,000 of program income. That's for repayment for our small business loans. And then unspent funds from prior years is $127,986 for a total of $352,610. So the activities that we are proposing for that is our small business loan program. We want to put $90,000 in that. Public infrastructures and facilities improvement, $131,497. Acquisition, $5,000. Clearance of spot, slum, and blight areas, we're going to put $58,000 in there. Grants to nonprofit, $29,193, and administration, $38,920. So those are the activities that we're proposing. So if anybody has any questions.
The grants to nonprofits, we'll remind everybody, is limited to a certain percentage of our total
10%.
dollars, 10%. 15%,
15%.
sorry. And then admin is also dictated by a percentage.
Right.
But since we got a little money, we're able to put a little more in the grants to nonprofits. And I also want to remind everyone, this is in addition to the COVID relief dollars, the $193,000 that we got, that we have placed with nonprofits
Right.
already.
Okay, the public hearing and consideration of the CDBG entitlement program action is open. Would anyone like to speak in favor or against the block grant? Lisa, thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you.
Seeing no one, public hearing is now closed. What's the wish of council?
Motion to approve the 2022-2023 action plan as presented.
I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Lisa, thank you so much. Next.
Then you have to do the project budget ordinance.
Yep. Next is the consideration of the CDBG project budget ordinance. Okay.
Which is the $352,000 that Lisa went through.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to adopt the CDBG 2022 project budget ordinance.
Thank you, Chris. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chris. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is consideration of an administration contract with Western Piedmont Council of Governments. Sally?
And this is for the administration of the CDBG program, and this is so we can continue to use Lisa. And so that would go into effect July 1, and it's for the 37,000? It should be 38.
38,920
I
is what
think,
it should
I
be.
think this is the current year's number, isn't it?
Just read
So the total administrative is 38,920, so that's the total. So a little bit that we use for city, for our ads and for
Yes,
other items. So,
yes.
yeah.
Okay,
So
So 37 with the COG, and then the other's our expenditure.
okay. What's the wish of council?
Motion to approve an agreement with Western Piedmont Council of Governments to administer the CDBG entitlement program.
Thanks, Chris. I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, next is consideration of appointment to boards and commission. The Board of Adjustment, this is a city council appointment. There are 3 terms expiring: Dale Britton, Thad Thomas Ewer, and Bryant Lindsay, having terms expire June 3rd of 2022. What's the wish of council?
I'll make a motion to reappoint Dale Britton, Thomas Ure, and Bryant Lindsay to the Board of Adjustment for 3-year terms to expire on June 3rd, 2025.
Thank you, Chris. Have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Next, I have to do a 30-day notice of vacancies on boards and commission. We have a vacancy on the ABC board.
No, we have a whole bunch more.
yeah, we've got several other boards to
sorry.
appoint.
That's all we
Jump ahead, Louis.
Yeah, right after,
Oh, okay.
yeah, there's like a whole bunch of them in that section.
Next is consideration for the Cable TV Commission. This is a city council appointment and 1 term expiring, which was William Robertson Jr. What's the wish of council?
Motion to reappoint William Robertson Jr. to the Cable Television Commission to a 3-year term to expire on June 1st, 2025.
Thank you, Chris. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is consideration of appointment to the Community Appearance Advisory Commission. This is a mayoral appointment. 3 terms that are expiring: Liz Beach, Eddie McJempsey, and Bill Lennon. Mr. Lennon would like to step down at this time, so I'd like to reappoint Liz Beach and Eddie McJempsey to the Community Appearance Advisory Commission for a 3-year term to expire June 1st, 2025, and also Raul Martinez to a 3-year term to expire June 1st, 2025. Next is the Main Street Advisory Board. It's a mayoral appointment. The Main Street Advisory Board works with Main Street staff to oversee and advise the development of downtown Morganton. The board is made up of business owners, property owners, and interested individuals. At this time, there are 6 members whose terms are expiring, and I will reappoint Bobby McCombs, Mary Ann Kozel, Ty Stephanides, Ashley Bruner, and Nancy Van Oppen to the Main Street Advisory Board to 3-year terms to expire June 30th, 2025.
And that leaves us 1 vacant seat that we'll try to have someone to bring back next time.
Okay. Next is consideration for appointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is a city council appointment. The 3 terms expiring: Judy Francis, Hank Dickens, and Pete Wallace. What's the wish of council?
Motion to reappoint Judy Francis, Hank Dickens, and Pete Wallace to the Planning and Zoning Commission for 3-year terms to expire on June 1st, 2025.
Thank you, Wendy. Do I have a motion? I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? These individuals have been great on
They've been
the
good
commission. They've done a great job. So.
They have, and this will ultimately be important in our comp plan process too,
Okay.
because that goes hand in hand with our zoning.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next is the appointment to the Recreation Advisory Commission. It's a city council appointment. There are 4 individuals who have 3-year terms expiring. What's the wish of council?
Motion to reappoint Daniel Hernandez, Stephen Grady, and Catherine Irvin to the Recreation Advisory Commission for terms to expire on June 30th, 2025.
I have a motion to have a second.
Second.
Okay, I think I had a whimper. Yeah, Chris, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Leaves 1 vacancy.
That will leave 1 vacancy, correct? Okay. Now, we do have an upcoming vacancy on the ABC Board. Mark Miller is Vice Chairman. His term will expire August the 5th of 2022. Anyone interested in volunteering for any of these vacancies, please call our city clerk at the city website. Anything else to come before city council tonight? Sally, a great budget. We look forward to 2 weeks from tonight and hopefully pass something. Nothing else? We're adjourned.